Back to disgrace us, you washed-up star? Sifu Liang's nasty taunt exploded like a bomb across the rough dojo, his voice a smooth knife cutting at Jason Statham's black cap, white t-shirt, and relaxed stance. The smug Wing Chun master, eyes flashing with a sly grin, picked on Statham in front of shocked students, his words a bold jab tied to their training days when Statham's skills beat his own. The dojo, a tough but respected place with sweaty mats and smoky incense, buzzed with hate, its dim lights shaking as Liang figured he'd crush his old rival, who didn't know him yet. Statham's eyes sparked under his cap, his voice tough but low. "Just here to visit," he growled, not knowing it was Liang, his sharp tone hinting at a fight brewing inside. Liang, grabbing his chance, stepped closer, his grin mean. "Show you're still worth something," he laughed, daring Statham to a spar, his taunt a loud smack meant to shame the stranger. Students went wild, their jeers a roaring fire. "That cap's a loser's sign," a skinny teen mocked, while another yelled, "Sifu'll teach this nobody." Their laughs grew loud, each mean word a jab fueling the crowd's hate, clueless about Statham's real skill. The dojo shook with bad vibes, Liang's dare a match ready to light a huge fight. Statham stood strong, his hands loose but set, the pain of their insults a fire in his chest, his hidden strength like a ready tiger. A quick look at his phone, a secret nod to his media plan waiting outside, went unseen as the crowd mocked him. A loud creak from the old mats broke through the noise, a creepy sign of the big fight coming, catching Statham's sharp senses. The scene was ready, the crowd's hate a spark about to blow, set to wreck Liang's rule with a truth that'd shake the dojo hard. Before we proceed, like and subscribe to catch Jason Statham's epic face-off with arrogant Wing Chun master and comment where you're watching from today. Jason Statham slipped into a rough city dojo, his black cap tilted low and white t-shirt loose, ready to cheer on his friend's son, a student he'd bonded with over their love for martial arts. He had no clue the master was Sifu Liang, his old Wing Chun classmate, whose jealousy burned hot from their training days when Statham's killer moves always left him in the dust. The dojo, a local legend with worn mats, chipped beams, and clouds of incense, buzzed with a gritty charm, but Liang's scam, jacking up fees for weak lessons, faking his master title, and pushing kids to recruit more students for cash, lurked like a snake in the shadows. Liang, his eyes glinting with a grudge, polished a fake certificate on his desk, smirking at Statham's plain look, his mind churning with old scores to settle. He hid his fraud behind a master's swagger, fooling everyone, but Statham caught a vibe, something rotten. Spotting a skinny student, face tight with worry, Statham leaned in, voice low. "You okay, kid?" The kid spilled, whispering, "I owe Liang thousands, couldn't recruit anyone." The words hit like a spark, lighting Statham's suspicions about a dirty game, but he stayed cool, keeping his mouth shut. Students, blind to the truth, whispered among themselves, their voices full of awe for Liang. "Sifu's unbeatable, why's this t-shirt guy here?" a girl muttered, eyeing Statham's cap. "Looks like a nobody," another scoffed, his tone naive but sharp. Their words stung, but Statham's focus stayed razor-tight, sensing Liang's menace like a storm brewing. The air hummed like a live wire, the dojo's shine hiding a dark lie, as Liang's old jealousy simmered, ready to explode. Statham's gut screamed, "This place stinks of lies," but he played it smart, his fingers tapping a quick text to the media waiting outside, his plan to bust Liang's scam locked and loaded. He kept his cover tight, the black cap low, his white t-shirt a quiet shield against the dojo's watchful eyes. The tension blazed like a fuse, Liang's fraud slithering unseen, the stage set for a fight that had ripped the truth wide open, pulling every listener deep into the fire of Statham's coming clash. The dojo roared like a furnace, Sifu Liang's smug grin a spark as he loomed over Jason Statham, his voice a sly dagger slicing through the incense-choked air. "Still strutting like you owned our old dojo," he taunted, his veiled jab mocking Statham's black cap and white t-shirt, a vicious nod to their training days when Statham's skill left him in the dust. The students erupted, their chants a blazing wildfire. "Sifu's fists rule," a lanky kid bellowed, while another jeered, "T-shirt guy's done." Their fervor surged, blind to Liang's fraud, their eyes locked on the stranger they thought was no match. Statham stood cool as steel, his cap low, his voice a bold growl. "Bring it on," he said, defiance flaring as Liang's flashy kicks flopped like a bad act, the spar igniting under the dojo's dim neon buzz. The crowd chanted louder, Sifu's unbeatable. Their naive cheers a wall of noise, clueless that Liang's sloppy punches betrayed his fake mastery. Statham's block snapped like steel, his eyes catching a nervous glance from the worried student he'd spoken to. The kid's fear a flickering clue that Liang's scam ran deep, fueling his suspicions from the shadows of the dojo's chipped beams. Mid-fight, Liang leaned in, his sneer a venomous blast. "Think you're still Sifu's golden boy?" he hissed, the taunt a raw cut to their past, sparking Statham's recognition of his jealous classmate. "You're just hot air, Liang." Statham fired back, his Hollywood-style retort blazing, each word a jab that lit the dojo like a rocket. Their rivalry burned hotter, Liang's clumsy strikes no match for Statham's precision, the crowd's jeers surging as they missed the cracks in their master's facade. The air crackled like a live wire, every move a pulse of fury under the incense haze. The dojo erupted like a volcano, Statham's skill a glowing ember hinting at a brutal takedown, his cap steady as he dodged Liang's flailing blows. The worried student's glance lingered, a silent scream of the scam Statham was poised to bust, his media plan a hidden bomb ticking outside. The crowd's chants roared, but Liang's weak moves flickered like a dying flame, the stage set for Statham's counterstrike to torch his lies and flip the dojo's world, every listener hooked tight by the clash's blazing stakes. The dojo blazed like a storm, Sifu Liang's desperate lunges flailing as he snarled, "You're no match for me now, old champ." His taunt a venomous jab at their training days when Jason Statham's skill crushed his ego. Statham, black cap low and white t-shirt taut, fired back, "You never mastered a thing." His Hollywood-style retort slicing through the incense-heavy air, their rivalry a wildfire under the dojo's flickering neon glow. Students roared, their cheers a thunderclap. "Sifu's the champ," a stocky teen bellowed, while another hollered, "Wipe out that t-shirt." Their blind fervor surged, missing Liang's clumsy kicks, his fake mastery unraveling like a cheap thread. Statham's punches sliced like blades, dodging Liang's sloppy swings with a master's ease, his mind sharp. "Liang's moves are a sham," he thought, the worried student's words. "I owe thousands." Echoing from earlier, now matched by the kid's clenched fists and darting eyes in the crowd, a burning clue the scam ran deep. The dojo shook with fury, Liang's faltering strikes no match for Statham's precision, the crowd's cheers, "Sifu rules." Deaf to their master's crumbling facade. Statham's block snapped like steel, his cap steady, a fleeting smirk crossing his lips as he pictured the media waiting outside, cameras ready to torch Liang's lies. Liang lunged again, his taunt a weak gasp, "You'll fall like before." But Statham's counter, "Keep dreaming, Liang," roared back, their words a cinematic clash that lit the mats like a fuse. The rivalry burned like napalm, every move a pulse of raw power, Statham's skill a blazing beacon in the dojo's chipped beams and smoky haze. The crowd leaned in, their cheers a wall of noise, but the worried student's fear screamed louder to Statham, tying Liang's fraud to his pathetic blows. Fury exploded like a hurricane, Statham's fists coiled for a brutal counterstrike, his white t-shirt a flag of defiance as he readied to bury Liang. The dojo pulsed like a heartbeat, the scam's shadow lurking, Statham's media plan a hidden spark waiting to ignite. The crowd's roars couldn't drown the truth, Liang's reign was cracking, and Statham's next move would shatter it, every listener glued to the clash's blazing stakes, hungry for the takedown to rip the dojo's lies wide open. The dojo roared like a volcano, Jason Statham's fists crashing like meteors as he unleashed a flurry of brutal Wing Chun strikes, his voice a thunderbolt. "Your fake reign's done, Liang," he bellowed, his black cap steady, white t-shirt stretched tight, pummeling Sifu Liang to the mats with kicks that snapped like whips. Liang crumpled, his smug grin erased, the incense-heavy air thick with the shock of his defeat. Students gasped, their jaws dropping. "He's crushing Sifu," a wide-eyed girl cried, while a boy stammered, "No way!" Their awe surged, the crowd's blind faith in Liang cracking like thin ice, blind no more to his faltering fraud. Statham stood tall, unscathed, his eyes blazing as he shot a sharp nod to the door. Cameras swarmed like a tidal wave, mics and lights flooding the dojo's chipped beams, the media he'd tipped off ready to torch Liang's lies. Liang, sprawled, stammered, "You're making this up, Statham!" His voice a panicked wail, his defensive mask shattering under the glare. But the worried student, inspired by Statham's grit, stepped forward, his voice shaking but fierce. "He's bleeding us dry, recruit or pay thousands," he shouted, spilling the scam's truth. "Fake credentials, jacked up fees, and forced recruitment. The crowd froze, then erupted, "Liang's a cheat!" A teen roared, another yelling, "He's a liar!" Their shock a wildfire, nothing like their earlier cheers or jeers. The dojo pulsed like a heartbeat. Statham's takedown a blazing beacon that ripped Liang's facade to shreds. Media mics caught every word, the cameras zooming as Liang's denial crumbled, his hands trembling, his scam laid bare. The students' shouts grew louder, their awe for Statham soaring like a rocket, the worried kids' courage a spark that lit the truth. The air crackled under the neon buzz, every strike from Statham's fists a hammer blow to Liang's empire, the crowd shift a seismic quake. Truth detonated like a bomb, Liang's lies shattering like glass as Statham stood firm, his cap low, his t-shirt a flag of victory. The media frenzy burned bright, capturing the dojo's upheaval, the students' fury at their master's betrayal a raw, electric surge. The stage was set for Statham's final blow, his plan to expose Liang's fraud on a global stage just beginning, every listener glued to the chaos, hearts pounding for the cameras to seal Liang's fate and crown Statham's triumph. The dojo's dark secrets blasted wide open in a climax that screamed for more. The dojo blazed like a spotlight, Jason Statham's voice a cannon blast as he faced the swarm of cameras, his black cap low, white t-shirt a bold banner. He fakes his title, bleeds you dry with fees, he roared, nailing Sifu Liang's scam, fake credentials, sky-high fees, and forcing students to recruit for cash. The media frenzy erupted, mics thrusting like spears, capturing every word under the dojo's smoky incense and chipped beams. Students gaped, their betrayed eyes locked on Statham, his truth a blazing sword slicing through Liang's lies, the air electric with the fallout of his brutal takedown. Liang, slumped on the mats, snapped, "I trained you all right!" His voice a desperate, crumbling plea, his ego shredding like paper in the camera's glare. But the students, fired up, pushed back hard. "He tricked us with fake lessons," a girl shouted, waving fake fee contracts pulled from Liang's desk, her voice raw with betrayal. "We paid for nothing," another yelled, their outbursts a raging storm, nothing like the blind cheers of "Sifu's the champ," or earlier jeers at Statham's t-shirt. The crowd's fury surged, their trust in Liang torched, the contracts a smoking gun that sealed his fraud. Statham stepped forward, his cap steady, his words a Hollywood-style hammer. "Live true, not like this fraud," he urged, his call to honor crushing Liang's ego as the media soaked it up, lenses zooming on the defeated master's trembling hands. The dojo shook like a thunderclap, respect for Statham surging like a tsunami, his plan a blazing victory that turned the scam's shadows into flames. Liang's denial wilted, his fake reign blasted wide open, the students' shouts a chorus of truth that echoed through the neon-lit haze. Liang's scam exploded in flames, the media capturing every crack in his facade, their mics a relentless drumbeat of justice. The students' rage burned bright, their betrayal a raw, electric pulse, each contract waved like a flag of defiance. Statham stood tall, his t-shirt a symbol of grit, his media gambit a masterstroke that flipped the dojo's world. The truth detonated like a rocket, every listener hooked tight, hearts racing for Statham's words to cement Liang's fall and lift the dojo's honor, the cameras rolling to blast the fraud to the world in a climax that screamed for more. The dojo glowed like a new dawn, Jason Statham's voice a bold beacon as he stood tall, black cap tilted, white t-shirt bold under the neon hum. "Honor builds strength, rise above lies," he declared, his Wing Chun wisdom offering Sifu Liang a path to redemption, the words a fiery call that lit the worn mats and smoky air. The cameras still rolled, their lenses catching every spark, but the focus shifted from fraud to hope, Statham's grit a lighthouse in the dojo's chipped beams, guiding the crowd past Liang's shattered scam. Students, their eyes wide with regret, poured out their hearts. "We trusted a fake," a young girl cried, her voice raw, while a boy added, "Sifu lied to us all." Their apologies, sharp and varied, cut through the haze, nothing like the blind cheers of "Sifu's the champ," or the jeers at Statham's t-shirt. The crowd shift was electric, their respect for Statham surging like a flare, rejecting Liang's fake fees and forced recruitment with a fury that shook the dojo's core. Hope ignited, a fresh wind sweeping away the scam's dark shadow. Liang, slumped against a cracked wall, lifted his head, his voice a humbled whisper. "I lost my way, give me a chance," he muttered, his sincerity a stark turn from his panicked, "I trained you right," under the media's glare. The words hung heavy, a crack in his ego, as the students nodded, their vow rising like a tide. "We'll train with real masters," a teen shouted, another pledging, "No more lies." Their promise to rebuild the dojo's honor burned bright, a new path carved in the wake of Statham's truth. Hope blazed like a rocket, Liang's fraud crumbling like ash as Statham's call echoed, his cap and t-shirt a symbol of grit that flipped the dojo's soul. The crowd's voices roared, not with the old chants or gasps, but with a fresh hunger for truth, their pledges a drumbeat of change under the incense fog. Liang's ego lay in ruins, Statham's redemption arc a blazing victory that hooked every listener, hearts pounding for the dojo's rebirth, the story's fire screaming for a final spark to seal its triumph. The dojo hummed like a live wire, Jason Statham's grin a spark as he leaned back, black cap low, white t-shirt proud under the neon flicker. "Threw on a cap and t-shirt for a training gig once. Never caused this kind of chaos," he quipped, his voice a warm jab at a time he sneaked into a dojo and got caught, easing the tension with a laugh that lit the incense haze. The students leaned in, their eyes wide, the air buzzing with a new vibe, Liang's scam a fading shadow on the worn mats, Statham's charm a blazing comet pulling them close. A young fighter piped up, voice full of awe. "How'd you get so fierce with Wing Chun?" she asked, while a boy added, "Can you teach us real moves?" Their questions, sharp and eager, forged a bond, nothing like the old jeers of "Cap's a loser's mark," or blind chants for Liang's fake reign. The crowd's hunger for truth burned bright, their voices a fresh pulse, tying them to Statham's grit in the dojo's chipped beams. Unity erupted like a geyser, his every word a hook that yanked listeners deeper into the fire. A teen stepped forward, eyes shining. "You're our dojo's true spark," he declared, his tribute a raw, emotional blaze, far from the apologies of "we trusted a fake," or the fury of "Liang's a cheat." The crowd roared, their cheers a new song, Statham's hero status cemented like steel in the smoky air. Awe blazed like a comet, the dojo's heart reborn, every student's nod a vow to chase honor, not lies. Statham's quip and grit lit the mats like a fuse, the dojo pulsing with a fierce new dawn, no trace of Liang's fraud or old chants. The story's heat soared, every listener glued, hearts racing for Statham's spark to fuel the dojo's rise, the turnaround a gripping peak that screamed for one final blaze to seal its triumph. The dojo shimmered like a rising sun, Jason Statham's voice a bold spark as he stood firm, black cap tilted, white t-shirt a proud flag under the incense glow. "True skill outshines lies. Stay humble," he roared, his words a blazing torch tying Liang's scam to the power of honest grit, searing the lesson into the neon hum. The crowd leaned in, their hearts racing, the worn mats a stage for his final stand. Statham's truth a wildfire that burned away the last of the dojo's dark past. Turning to the students, he added, "Fight for truth in every strike." His call a rocket of inspiration, urging them to chase real Wing Chun, far from the honor of redemption or bonding of turnaround. Their eyes blazed, voices rising in a fierce chorus. "We'll master Wing Chun right," a girl shouted, another vowing, "No more fake masters." Their pledges, raw and passionate, stood apart from the jeers, chants, gasps, and apologies of before, a fresh pulse of change echoing through the chipped beams. Statham tipped his cap with a nod, his grin pure grit. "Gotta move on," he said, his exit heroic, the t-shirt and cap a symbol of the fight he'd won, no trace of injury, just raw triumph. The students cheered, their cries a new song, "We'll make you proud." Not the old Sifu's the champ, or Liang's a cheat, but a vow to carry his spark, the dojo's neon flicker a beacon of their reborn path. Truth blazed like a supernova, Liang's lies vanishing like smoke as the narrator's voice soared. Statham's stand reshaping the dojo and inspiring fighters worldwide. The story's fire roared, every listener hooked, hearts pounding for his words to echo beyond the mats, a global call to live true. The dojo stood tall, its incense haze a glow of hope, Statham's exit a final, gripping blaze that sealed the tale, leaving viewers hungry for the legacy of his triumph.